days, of course, when English was a new language, writers could invent new words and use them. Nowadays, it's easy enough to invent new words. They spring to the lips whenever we see a new sight or feel a new sensation. But we cannot use them because the English language is old.
I love to write. I could sit here and write all day if I could.
Hey man, wanna come play Halo?
No man, I just gotta finish this essay real quick.
Okay, for what?
It's not for a class, I'm just doing it for fun.
What? Be a man, let's go.
But it's not a manly thing to do these days. Why, you may ask? That is why you brought me here, isn't it? Should I remark about the modern bestsellers? Like the British woman who writes about wizardry and has sold more copies of her 10 books than Dr. Seuss ever did his entire life. Or the cult leader who writes about vegetarian vampires and rakes in millions of dollars from creepy little girls. Then there's the perennial best-selling female author who writes romance novels despite being divorced 5 times. Oh yeah, not to mention that one guy who writes like a woman and then makes fun of talented authors who write like men. But these best-selling authors go back a few more decades. Agatha Christie wrote compelling crime dramas that sold more copies than any other author in history besides Shakespeare. Then there's that other British celebrity named Barbara Cartland. Her formula for writing romance novels helped her place 3rd in the list of all-time best-selling authors. So, there you have it. 2 of the 3 best-selling authors of all time were women, born around the same time period as Virginia Woolf. And even though this woman wrote to Spanish-speaking countries, Corinthiado wrote over 4,000 novels. That's some major international influence from Virginia Woolf. But we had to see this coming. Can you remember the last time you had a male English teacher? In our classrooms, female English teachers teaching students to think like women, write like women. And now women are topping the bestseller list while men are trying to find something more useful to do. If Shakespeare lived in today's society, and if he indeed did have a sister, let's call her name Judith, then maybe things would have turned out differently. William could have been sucked in by video games, mechanics, comics, you name it. His friends and parents chide him when he reads and acts out plays because it's not what boys are supposed to do, and especially not men. Instead, he gets involved in the activities mentioned above. Then he gets old Anne Hathaway pregnant. Well, and then he has to go work at McDonald's to support the kids. All the while, his sister Judith is a voracious reader. All her English teachers are women, and they serve to inspire her as she works. Judith is allowed to write because of her gender. It's an appropriate thing to do for women. She gets to experience life and love, but it does not hinder her production. Theater, writing, men don't do that. Judith is an esteemed young woman, respected and supported by everyone. She writes brilliant works of literature entitled Macbeth. Get my drift? She's a bestseller, a writer, and everyone loves her. And she's a woman. It's not that men can't write. By this day and age, everyone has a room of their own. Men are just persuaded not to open the door.